Level 1. Otaku. 14 years from now, you'll control 38,000 Yakuza and $8 billion across Japan. Right now, you're bleeding on concrete in Kabukicho because the martial arts you learned from Naruto didn't work. You're 19. Baltimore, Maryland. No degree failed out of Baltimore City Community College because attending class requires waking up before noon, and you had a 400-episode backlog of One Piece that wasn't going to watch itself. No girlfriend. Not once. Not even close. You flew 6,400 miles to Tokyo alone because a cute Japanese girl on a MyAnimeList forum said she liked your Evangelion profile picture. She wasn't real. The forum message was bait for a gaijin scam operation, running out of Kabukicho. 3 local thugs with fake Louis Vuitton shirts are standing in a dead-end alley behind a pachinko parlor, and you just squared up with a taijutsu stance you saw in Naruto. One of them looked at your stance, looked at your Gundam shirt, and said something in Japanese that roughly translates to, "This man flew across the ocean to get his ass kicked in cosplay." Then they beat you in 12 seconds. Your Gundam shirt is ripped. Naruto isn't coming to save you. Then a black Lexus stops. A man in a tailored dark suit steps out. 2 words in Japanese. The thugs scatter like cockroaches when the kitchen light hits. He looks at you bleeding, stupid, fists still up like round 2 is happening, and doesn't smile. Hands you a napkin and a business card you can't read. You need a job. You say yes because you don't know what else to say. Your career in the Yakuza just started because a girl who never existed liked your profile picture. Somewhere in this city, Yakuza leader Makusu hears about the gaijin who got picked up. He laughs. Level 2. Junkosein. You show up at a building in Shinjuku at 6 a.m. thinking you're starting a corporate job. Your desk is a bucket. Your onboarding is a rag thrown at your face. Car first, then floor. Your salary? 0 yen. Your title? Nothing. Your badge? Doesn't exist. Your protection? Absolutely doesn't exist. You're an unpaid intern for the Japanese mafia, and you don't realize it for 3 weeks because nobody tells you, and the organizational structure looks exactly like every toxic Japanese company you've seen in anime. Older men in suits yelling at younger men in worse suits about deadlines that mean nothing and everything simultaneously. 18-hour days. Wake at 5 a.m. Iron the boss's shirts creases sharp enough to cut paper, or you do the entire batch again. Drive his wife to the hair salon and wait 4 hours in the car without touching the radio because last month an associate changed the station and didn't sit down for a week. Cook dinner for 12 men who won't say thank you, won't acknowledge you exist, and will absolutely notice if the rice is too sticky. You're not a gangster. You're a maid with worse benefits and a statistically higher chance of getting stabbed. The boss tests loyalty by leaving 50,000 yen on his desk and watching the security camera. 3 associates before you failed. You don't touch the money because you don't know 50,000 yen is roughly $350. You pass the most important exam of your career by accident. Competence disguised as ignorance, the Yakuza's favorite kind. Then Makusu shows up. White Mercedes. Makes you wash it. You wash it. He says you missed a spot. You wash it again. He says you missed another spot. You wash it a 3rd time. Then he pours green tea on the hood. Slowly. Looking right at you. The other associates look away. One of them whispers, "Don't." You scrub the tea off the hood of a car you've washed 3 times, while a man who outranks you by 6 levels watches like he's feeding pigeons in a park. Your jaw locks so tight, your back teeth hurt. This is the moment. Not the alley in Kabukicho. Not the scam. This is the seed. You'll remember the green tea in 6 years when your hands are around Makusu's throat, and the only thing stopping you from killing him slower is that there are 200 men on the other side of a wall who need to hear you sit back down. 6 months in. The boss pours 2 cups of sake. You think you're getting fired. He slides a pin across the desk, the family crest. "Sakazuki," he says. "You know what this means?" You don't. He smiles for the first time since you met him. It means you can't leave. Your cracked phone sits in your pocket. You haven't called your mother in 4 months. The phone still works. You just don't know what you'd say. Level 3. Wakashu. After the Sake Oath, your first real assignment. Run an underground gambling den in a Roppongi basement. 12 tables. 200,000 yen flows through every night like water through a drain that only goes up. Your cut? 8%. Your jokokin, the tax you pay up to the family, is 60% of that cut. After rent, ventilation repairs, And the guy who keeps the basement from smelling like cigarettes and existential regret, you make less per hour than you did washing the boss's car. Except now when someone doesn't pay, it's your problem. And problems in this industry don't go to HR. The stereotype says you'd be intimidating people in a flashy suit with a katana, standing in the rain looking cinematic. Reality: you work in a 3,000 yen tracksuit and call salarymen at 11 p.m. on a prepaid phone to remind them 380,000 yen is due by Friday. Or, we visit your office. Most of them pay. Their voices always crack on the same word, Friday. The ones who don't pay teach you what a broken finger sounds like from the outside. It sounds like a carrot snapping, except the carrot apologizes afterward and promises to have the money by Monday. First time you hit your monthly quota. 1.4 million yen collected. Take home after Jokokin, 44,800 yen. You buy ramen from a place that doesn't ask questions and sit on a bench in Shinjuku at 2 a.m. Exhausted, rich by Maryland standards, poor by your new ones. You think about what your mom would say if she knew her son was sitting on a Tokyo bench at 2 a.m. with 44,800 yen he earned by threatening accountants. She'd probably ask if you're eating enough. You are. The ramen is excellent. Next night, 4 men from Makusu's subfamily show up at your den. Don't gamble. Sit at a corner table and stare at you for 2 hours. Order water, drink it slowly, then leave. No words, no threats. No bill. They didn't order anything that costs money, just presents. Message received. Makusu hasn't forgotten the gaijin who scrubbed tea off his hood and still had the audacity to get promoted. The boss calls. Your numbers are the best in the district, better than any wakashu in 5 years. You think like a businessman, not a soldier, he says. Pause. That's either your future or your funeral. He mentions a word, wakagashira hosa. You don't know what it means. You will. In this organization, men who think like businessmen don't stay on the street. They get pulled up. And the view from up there looks beautiful until you realize you can't look down without seeing everything you walked over to get there. Level 4, Shate. Your gambling numbers earned you something unexpected. Respect from men twice your age. Promoted to Shate younger brother. Job shifts from collecting debts to managing the neighborhood. 3 blocks in Roppongi. You settle disputes between hostess bars, negotiate protection payments, and keep the peace between 4 gambling operations that would rather kill each other than share a city block. The American kid who flew to Japan because he wanted to meet girls like Rias Gremery from High School DxD is now the neighborhood uncle for Japanese gangsters. Nobody's laughing. You meet Yuki at a ramen shop at 1 a.m. Nurse, 26. Night shifts at a hospital in Shibuya. Doesn't know what you do. You tell her, real estate management. Not technically wrong. You manage the real estate where crimes happen. She laughs at your Japanese. You laugh at your Japanese. First date, she takes you to a Studio Ghibli exhibit. You stand in front of a Totoro display, and for the first time, Japan matches what you imagined it would be when you were watching anime on a second-hand laptop in Maryland. Your chest hurts in a way that has nothing to do with Makusu or Jokokin or the 44,800 yen that felt like a fortune 3 months ago. You didn't come to Japan for this. What you found is a real woman who makes fun of your accent and brings you onigiri at midnight and doesn't care that you're from Maryland. She cares that you remember her coffee order. You do. Iced. Oat milk. 2 sugars. Every time. An older shate gets arrested for drug possession. Does 14 months without naming a single person in the organization. When he comes out, the boss throws a banquet. Everyone bows. You watch and understand. Prison time is the graduate degree of the Yakuza. Loyalty isn't a word here. It's a sentence, sometimes literally. You haven't been tested like that yet. You know it's coming. You just don't know the shape. Makusu makes his move. Not with violence, with business. A hostess bar opens 1 block from your main den. Makusu's name on the lease. Legal. Clean. The kind of move that says, I'm taking your neighborhood and there's nothing you can do without starting a war. Nobody authorized. Boss says 2 words. Handle it. Then 3 more. Don't make news. You look at Yuki's contact in the new phone, the Japanese one, the one that replaced the cracked American phone months ago, and think about what handling it means when the woman you love thinks you manage apartments. Level 5. Wakagashira Hosa. You handled the Makusu hostess bar. No blood, no police. Found the building's code violations, fire exits blocked, ventilation below standard, an electrical panel that hadn't been inspected since 2017. Anonymous tips to the fire department. 90 days. Bar gone. Makusu spent 40 million yen on a lease that turned into a citation. The boss nodded. 3 weeks later, you're Wakagashira Hosa Regional Lieutenant. Boss of your own subgang. Seat on the main family's board. Real office. Tailored black suit. Mahogany desk. 3 phones organization. Front companies. Yuki. The kid who flew to Japan for an anime girl is managing 800 million yen in front companies. The spreadsheets are real. So are the bodies. A former associate turns informant. Evidence that would expose 3 layers of financial operations. The order from above. Resolve it. You look at his file. 38. Wife. No children. He used to bring you coffee during your Junkosein days when nobody else looked at the gaijin twice. You make the call. 2 men. He disappears on a Tuesday. His wife calls the police. The report goes into a drawer. You go home. Yuki made katsudon. You eat. She asks about your day. Meetings. The katsudon tastes like nothing. For the first time, you understand why senior men drink after dinner. Not celebration. Erasure. First board meeting. 12 men in black suits around a table. That costs more than your first apartment. You're the youngest by 15 years. The only gaijin in the room. The only person who got here because of a My Anime List forum. A fact you will take to your grave, and possibly beyond. Makusu sits across the table. Same rank, different territory. Your quarterly revenue, 1.2 billion yen. His, 1.6 billion. But your margins are cleaner. The Kumicho, the supreme boss at the head of the table, nods at you. Doesn't nod at Makusu. A nod from the Kumicho in this room is worth more than the 400 million yen gap between your numbers. Makusu notices. An elder stops you after. Last time the Kumicho nodded like that at someone your age, that person became Kumicho in 11 years. You sit in your Lexus same model that picked you up in Kabukicho. Phone buzzes. Yuki. Come home. I made miso soup. Also, I'm pregnant. You stare at the screen. The kid from Maryland, who couldn't get a girlfriend, now has a family, a board seat, and a target on his back the size of Makusu's ego. Everything you love is stored in the same phone, connected to the organization that could take it all. Level 6. Honbucho. 6 weeks ago, the Kumicho publicly reassigned 2 of Makusu's most profitable territories to you. An order read aloud at a board meeting, while Makusu sat 3 chairs away and said nothing. Now you're the gatekeeper. Every communication between the main family and subfamilies goes through you. 12 billion yen in annual operations across 47 shell companies. Your daughter Hana is 18 months old. Secure apartment in Minato. 3 locks. Private security. A view of Tokyo Tower that Yuki photographs every morning and sends to her sister with the caption, "Still can't believe this is my life." Neither can you, for very different reasons. Tuesday. You're reviewing quarterly allocations when the personal phone rings. Not the organization phone. Not the front company phone, the one with Yuki's contact and Hana's photo as wallpaper. A voice you don't recognize. Come to Shibuya. You drive to the address. You shouldn't go alone. You go alone. Yuki is dead. Apartment door open. No forced entry, someone she knew, or someone who looked like they should be there. Single knife wound. Professional, quick. On the kitchen counter, placed upright where you'd see it. A subfamily pin. Makusu's crest. He wanted you to know. Hana is in her crib, untouched. Pacifier in her mouth. Sleeping. The precision is the message Makusu didn't kill the child, because the child is the punishment. Every time you look at Hana, you see Yuki. Every time she tilts her head, or laughs, or stands in front of anything that reminds you of a Totoro display, you see the woman whose death you couldn't prevent. That's not cruelty. That's architecture. The kind only a man who understands revenge would build. Police take notes. You know the notes go into the same kind of drawer the informant's wife's report went into. You sit in the hallway holding Hana while forensics photographs the apartment. Your hands are steady. The kind of steady that doesn't come from calm, it comes from a fury so deep, it bypasses the nervous system entirely and settles into bone. The organization expects the Honbucho to function. You function. 3 emergency meetings in 48 hours. Reroute 2 billion yen in operations. Makusu's faction tries to disrupt during the chaos. You speak in complete sentences, make decisions, approve budgets, Nobody knows your daughter is sleeping at Yuki's sister's apartment because yours is a crime scene. The mask is perfect. It has to be. In the Yakuza, grief is a vulnerability, and vulnerability is a weapon your enemies use. You use it against yourself instead. Every meeting, every signature, every phone call is a brick in a wall between your emotions and the world. The wall will hold. The man behind it might not. 2 weeks later, office, 2 a.m. Hana's photo on the desk, the only personal item in the room. You pull Makusu's complete file. Financials, territory, associates, weaknesses. You read it the way a man reads a menu, not wondering what to choose, but when to order. Lock the file in a drawer. Key goes on a chain around your neck. You'll wear it for 2 years. The war won't look like a war. It'll look like business. It'll look like a series of unfortunate coincidences that all, somehow, point in the same direction. And by the time Makusu realizes it's not coincidence, it'll be too late to call it anything else. Level 7, Shategashira. 2 years of quiet warfare. Your chief of brothers, now supreme senior advisor. The stereotype says this is the position for the most bloodthirsty veteran in the family. Reality. You spend your days in a tatami room drinking matcha, presiding over ceremonial disputes about which subfamily gets which festival rights. You resolve a 3-month territory argument by suggesting both sides co-host a charity event. Both bosses leave satisfied. You're a diplomat in a crime syndicate, and the diplomacy is the disguise. For 24 months, you've been turning Makusu's allies into your acquaintances. Not through threats, through value. A resolved dispute here. A financial recommendation there. Something you learned scrubbing green tea off a Mercedes. Loyalty follows value, not rank. You provide value. Makusu provides fear. Fear expires. Value compounds. Makusu sees a tired old advisor winding down. He doesn't see the file locked in your desk, updated weekly, with every financial connection, every code violation, every off-the-books transaction. He thinks is invisible. The man who killed your wife thinks you've moved on. He is incorrect. Nights, you read Hana a bedtime story. My neighbor Totoro, Yuki's favorite. Hana is 3 now. She likes the cat bus. You always pause on the same page, the one where the father holds his daughters and tells them everything is going to be okay. Yuki used to read this page in a voice that made you believe it. You read it in a voice that makes Hana believe it. Different thing. The break comes through mediation. One of Makusu's own sub-bosses brings a complaint. Makusu's been skimming Jokokin, taking 70% instead of the agreed 60%, funneling the difference into a private weapons pipeline that bypasses the main family's supply chain. The sub-boss doesn't want war. He wants fairness. You listen. Take notes. Resolve the immediate dispute with a modest financial adjustment. Then you add the skimming data to the locked file. The weapons pipeline is the key. If the Kumicho learns Makusu is building a private army with stolen Jokokin, it's not a dispute, it's treason. And treason in the Yakuza has one resolution. 1. You don't bring it to the Kumicho yet. Timing is the weapon now. You sit in the tatami room and realize something the elder said 2 years ago. 11 years. You're ahead of schedule. The matcha is cold. You drink it anyway. Hana is 4. She speaks Japanese and English. Switching mid-sentence the way children switch between worlds they don't yet know are separate. You take her to a park in Ueno. She runs ahead. For a moment, she tilts her head the same angle, the same laugh that sounds like a question and looks exactly like Yuki. Your hand goes to the key around your neck. Files ready, allies positioned, evidence documented. You call the Wakagashira on a secure line. I need a private meeting with the Kumicho. Subject is Makusu. Pause. When? You watch Hana chase pigeons across the gravel. Next week. You hang up. The pigeons scatter. Nothing you do is accidental anymore. Level 8. Wakagashira. Private meeting. Tatami room. Green tea on the table. The irony isn't lost on you. You place the file in front of the Kumicho. 47 pages. Financial skimming. 3.4 billion yen. Over 2 years. Private weapons pipeline. 14 shipments through 3 ports. Off-books alliances with a syndicate the Kumicho declared hostile in 2019. The Kumicho reads for 40 minutes without moving. His tea gets cold. He doesn't touch it. Then he says one word. Resolve. You're Wakagashira now. Number 2. Daily operations for 38,000 members across 22 prefectures. Legal shield, operational brain, The man who goes to prison so the Kumicho stays clean. But the real mandate is specific. Eliminate Makusu's faction without it looking like a gang war. The police are watching. The media are watching. If this gets loud, everyone loses. You run the war like you ran the gambling den with spreadsheets and patience. Makusu's sub-bosses get visits, not threats offers. Better terms, cleaner operations, protection he can't provide because his supply chain is frozen. 3 anonymous tips to customs officials who were happy to find something worth finding took care of that. In 60 days, Makusu loses 4 of 7 sub-bosses. They don't defect, they restructure. Corporate language for betrayal. He watches it happen and can't stop it, because stopping it means admitting the private army, which means admitting the skimming, which means the Kumicho already knows. Trapped by his own secrets. You know the feeling. Every promotion in this organization is a cage. Yours is just bigger. Police investigation hits the family's construction contracts. Wakagashira's job, absorb the heat. You spend 11 days in a holding cell, concrete room, toilet that doesn't flush. A detective who asks the same 14 questions for 264 hours, like a man who gets paid by the repetition. Hana stays with Yuki's sister. When you walk out, she runs to you at the door. Papa, did you have a sleepover? You say yes. The sleepover was a concrete room with fluorescent lights that never turn off, and a detective who thought asking question number 7 a 43rd time would somehow produce a different answer. You don't tell her that. You might never tell her anything about any of this. The distance between Papa and Wakagashira is the distance between who you are to her and what you are to everyone else. One of those people is real. You're not sure which anymore. Makusu has 3 sub-bosses left. Territory. 2 wards. Revenue. Down 78%. Cornered. Cornered men do one of 2 things. Makusu isn't the type who surrenders. Intelligence arrives. He's planning a hit on you at the annual Kumicho banquet. 200 guests. Public. A man with nothing to lose and a blade is more dangerous than a man with everything and a gun. You look at Hana's photo on your desk. Same photo. Same frame. Same girl who asks about sleepovers. You pick up the phone. Cancel my security detail for the banquet. Pause on the other end. Sir, I want him to try. Level 9. Kumicho. Annual banquet. Ginza. 200 members. Polished wood and sake, and the specific silence of powerful men, deciding how to behave in front of more powerful men. You sit at the head table. Makusu arrives with 3 sub-bosses. The room watches. You make eye contact for the first time since Yuki died. 2 years of war compressed into 8 meters of banquet table. You raise a sake cup. He doesn't. Speeches. Toasts. The Kumicho says unity. The word means nothing here, and everyone knows it. At 11:14 p.m., Makusu excuses himself. 2 men follow. You put down your cup, same gesture from your first Sakazuki. The ceremony where the boss said, "It means you can't leave," and follow. Hallway behind the banquet room. Narrow. 1 fluorescent bar humming like it's been thinking about dying. Makusu's men step forward. Your men positioned since 4 p.m. step from service entrances. Makusu pulls a blade. Same kind that killed Yuki. You don't pull a weapon. Walk toward him. You left Hana alive because you wanted me to remember. He smiles. Same smile from the Mercedes. Same smile from the green tea. You should thank me. Your hand closes around his wrist. The tea, the hood, the rag. 6 years of locked teeth, and 47 pages, and a key on a chain, and Totoro, every night, in a voice that wasn't yours. It ends in a hallway in Ginza, in less than 90 seconds. Makusu doesn't get up. You pick up the blade, place it on a table, walk back, sit down, pick up the sake cup. Your hands are steady. 3 months later. Kumicho. Oyabun. Supreme Boss. The ceremony happens in the same room where you took the oath as a Junko Seiyan who didn't know what 50,000 yen was. Same sake. Different chair. You run 38,000 members across Japan. Your bank account is empty. Anti-gang laws mean you can't open one. Can't sign a phone contract. Can't walk into most hotels or restaurants. Hana is raised by her aunt during the week because the Kumicho cannot be seen with family. The most powerful man in the organization is the most isolated human being in it. Office. Midnight. The cracked phone from Kabukicho sits on your desk next to Hana's photo. Found it in a box last month. Doesn't turn on. Doesn't need to. You know what's on it? Evangelion wallpaper. A message from a girl who never existed. The last version of yourself that was free. A report crosses your desk. 20-year-old American. Picked up in Kabukicho. Scammed. Beaten. Showed determination. Your sub-boss wants to know whether to recruit him. You look at the cracked phone. Look at Hana's photo. Sign the recruitment order. Close the file. Somewhere in Kabukicho, a kid from Ohio who flew to Tokyo because an anime forum promised him something is about to get a napkin and a business card he can't read. His phone is cracked, his lip is bleeding, and a man in a dark suit is about to say 4 words that end one life and start another. The story is fiction. The ranks are real. The isolation at the top is real. And somewhere right now, a kid with steady hands and a cracked phone is about to get noticed by someone who doesn't watch anime. If this one stayed with you, drop a thought below, subscribe for more.